Welcome back. You're listening to Real Talk with Brian and Dan on 1150 KKNW.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Dan, and our first guest today is Angel Barna of Troth & Company. Angel is a healthcare insurance broker who brings over 10 years of insurance expertise to all our clients. Having helped hundreds of businesses and individuals over the years, Angel empowers business owners, Medicare beneficiaries, and individuals to navigate the highly confusing, I'm just saying, this is ad-libbing here, and rough waters of healthcare. She takes her clients from a place of confusion to confidence and understanding. By taking the time to personally understand each client's individual needs, she tailors options and solutions that meet both their goals and budget. Angel's first and foremost a proud mom of 2 kids and is no longer a dog lover because her dog ate her glasses. I mean, she still loves the dog, I'm sure. How could you not? It's such an adorable face, yeah. But in her spare time, she enjoys watching her daughter compete. Doing what? Competing what?
She's actually benched right now due to a back injury.
No,
yeah.
doggone it. Benched
from what?
Compete?
Soccer and
kickboxing.
kickboxing.
Soccer and
active
kickboxing.
role, yeah.
Mm-hmm, yep. So, but also not watching her daughter compete flower gardening. Flower gardening is something you like to do. And spending time with in Westport with her kids and parents crabbing and beachcombing. Welcome back to the show, Angel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
When is the crabbing season? Do you guys know?
It's open all year there.
It's best in the wintertime, though.
Is that right?
Thanksgiving was the best for us.
Wow.
That's when the crabs are coming in or something?
I don't know if the crabs were coming in or no one else was down there, but yeah, we caught Reggie, the big crab. We
wow.
This season,
How big?
I don't even
Like
remember.
this big?
I have a picture of him. He was huge. He
Big
was
Dungeness?
Yeah.
You named him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Only the big ones get names.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and then you eat them.
Oh yeah.
How quaint.
Wow.
It's awful. It's awful, but tasty.
All right.
Tasty.
So since we're familiar with you, we know about your hobbies and interests, and we have your fond memory. Do you want? I mean, you just shared one there, right? Crabbing with your kids. So let's get right down to brass tacks.
All right.
Coronavirus on everyone's mind. You cannot avoid it. I actually put a moratorium in our offices. No more coronavirus conversations, or I'm going to flip my stuff.
We're just talking about puppies and good stuff.
Let's talk about happiness.
Yeah.
The lack of traffic, the fact that we're saving the planet by less emissions because cars aren't going.
Yeah.
See the good side.
There's some good.
The half full beer. Yes. So let's talk about the healthcare, though.
We want to talk about the panic side of it.
Yeah. Well, let's clean it up. If you have concerns, those who don't have healthcare, what can they do?
Right. So Washington State has just opened up a special enrollment period. So if you did not purchase insurance and you're an individual, you can now purchase insurance. It'll be an April 1st effective date, and you actually have until April 8th to sign up.
So
we
we
have
have
the next
open enrollment again. Nice.
For the individual market. So this is going to apply to people who have no health coverage in place right now. It doesn't matter if you're employed or not. If your employer doesn't offer health insurance, or if you opted out of the health insurance, or if you just decided, I'm healthy, I'm going to take a chance. I think it's heavily weighing on people's minds now that health insurance is a great idea.
Why is that such a big deal that there's open enrollment? Can't you just always enroll?
Not anymore, not with the Affordable Care Act. There's now an annual open enrollment for individuals. So there's a set time that you can make your elections and pick out a health care plan. The idea is that you don't have people purchasing health insurance when they need it and then canceling it when they don't need it, right?
Right.
So it's hard on the whole system.
So if someone were to need to find out information now, they email you or call. What's the best?
Feel free to give me a call or email, whatever's easiest.
Okay.
So if you're employed and your employer doesn't offer, you're eligible in the open enrollment period. Is that right?
Okay, so here's the nice thing about group health insurance is that there is no open enrollment period.
Oh, okay.
You can start a plan any time of the year. So you can change plans any time of the year. These carriers are happy to do deductible crediting. So if you don't love your plan, you're truly not stuck with it. And I think we're in a crucial time where employees are now going to be demanding health care insurance. I think with this crisis, I think it's going to bring forward even more of a demand to have this benefit.
For your workforce.
Yeah, for your workforce.
One of the things that Brian and I didn't talk about in the opening segment was there's still a really strong underlying workforce, right? Unemployment. And who knows, that could change very much. But one of the ways that that employers can entice their recruits to offer benefits. So what you're saying is you can write benefits for companies so that they can entice employees?
Yes. Yeah, and it's such a competitive job market here. I think I read that the unemployment was 3.3% in Washington right now. So if you're trying to attract and retain good employees and you don't have a health insurance plan, you're going to want to visit that.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
And every year there's new set of options. But now you're saying as a business, you don't have to wait for the open enrollment. You can just go ahead and start this now, and your employees at any time can add or subtract it.
Yeah, there are no open enrollment periods for businesses. So
Okay.
you can start a plan any time of the year. Your employees have an opportunity to come on when you start your plan. If they waive, then they have to wait until the next open enrollment. Unless they lost coverage for some reason, like they got kicked off their parents' plan or their spouse got laid off and that's who they were covered on, then they can hop onto your plan. But the carriers have been great in the small group market. They're allowing employers that have 51 and fewer employees to have multiple plans. One of my carriers even now allows you to do an HMO plan and a PPO plan. So they're really diving into the small group market and offering them great options right now.
All right. So let's see.
What kind of healthcare options do you provide for business?
I work with the top carriers in Washington. So I do the group health insurance benefits, so medical, dental, vision. Also, another popular option right now is supplemental or voluntary benefits. This allows employees to pick and choose policies based on what their needs are. If you have a history of cancer, if you never picked up life insurance, chronic health issues, if you have a history of family heart disease, you have the opportunity to pick up some extra coverage for that. Disability, paycheck insurance, all these benefits can be voluntary. They're going to do a couple things for you. They're going to help your employees have a little more control in their healthcare spending. It's also going to allow them to pick and choose the coverage that's perfect for them. And it's going to lower payroll taxes. In addition, many of these policies are pre-tax, so it's going to save the employer on payroll taxes too, which is nice.
Wow.
Okay, so as an employer, how big or how small of an employer do I need to be to provide this kind of product to our employees?
So group health insurance plans, you can do it with one employee. For the supplemental benefits, typically you need to have at least 5 employees.
5, okay. So then what you do as an employer is you create the baseline, and then you have like an entree of services that the individual could say, hey, I'd like to add that, and that, and then it gets deducted from their paycheck, and then they have that coverage.
Yes.
And you handle all the ins and outs of that.
Yes.
That's cool. That's great.
It is.
That is really great.
So I think of like supplemental, like, some of the companies out there. I guess I don't know if I want to mention names.
The duck, the duck, or the
duck guys.
Is it
Yeah.
a duck or a goose?
I don't know.
I think it's a duck.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Companies like that.
But they're 5, or is that individual?
So some of those companies will allow you to do individual voluntary. Typically, you'll get a better rate if you do group. And there's a lot of group carriers that are not voluntary that have great benefits as well. And a blend. Like you could do MetLife and Hartford. They've got great options that are voluntary and employer paid. So there's tons of
options. That's the part that I think is the most overwhelming. Is after you just kind of start going and then PPO and then just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
It's hard. You need to have somebody that's in that zone.
You probably know this, but after meeting Angel on the show, my wife and I met with her, and she walked us through everything. Just a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Because I just get lost in all that. You're an expert. You know it inside and out. That was one of the most helpful things we've done with our insurance. So just really have appreciated working with you.
Thank you.
So another area you specialize in is Medicare. And how do you see this whole virus impacting the Medicare market?
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking earlier. A lot of my appointments have canceled, due to the coronavirus fears, and my Medicare clients haven't canceled at all.
Is that fear
They're
motivated?
like, no, I had one say, "Oh no, we've seen worse. Come on out."
Yeah.
And so, so far, knock on wood, no complaints. And the Medicare market seems to be the steady Eddie of the medical field, in terms of insurance.
Yeah.
So far, knock on wood, I know this is kind of the population that's getting the most impacted by
So
the
they want to make
virus.
sure they're covered.
They want to make sure they're covered. However, Medicare is structured so that it's easy to get coverage. The plans are great. You can get 0 premium plans that have amazing benefits. So
I think the interesting part is I see this whole thing as changing how we do business in a really good way. If there are
Right.
less cars on the street, right, for sales calls, for, you know, okay, going to the factory was a thing. We don't do that anymore. We work on our computers and we have milestones and we have, benchmarks that we have to meet for certain jobs. Brian and I have to drive, right? We have to get places in order to look at physical inventory. But for you, have you looked into getting that Zoom conference call and sit down with the business and say, hey, schedule a conference call. We'll do face to face. I can walk you through, because looking at these plans, when you hand me a piece of paper of it, it's like, but if you popped it up on the screen and I was able to kind of compare, that would be fantastic. Have you embraced that for your practice?
Actually, most all of my practice is that way.
Oh, wow.
Very few of my group employers do I meet with. Most all of it's done online and over the phone.
Wow.
Medicare, I have 96 plans in King County, 10 carriers. Medicare is typically easier to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation.
Yep.
I do have a few that prefer to do an online appointment, like a Join Me or a WebEx. I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I think we'll see more of that in the future.
I do too. And I even think that, like Brian and I discussed, is incorporating that into our business. Let's see, tonight at 7 o'clock, I have a buyer's meeting and it's online.
Wow.
Yeah, we're just
That's
hopping
great.
online and we're going to go over the stuff. So it's cool. We
Very
never
cool.
have to even interact with each other, Brian, physically. For you
there
introverts
you
out
go.
there, I know you're
Yeah.
super excited about that.
That's funny.
Finally.
So how many Medicare options did you say in
96 plans,
in
10
King County?
carriers in King County alone.
Wow. How do you
yeah.
keep up with that?
It's a lot of work. It
bet.
takes me forever every year to do the
And they're all different?
certifications.
They're all different?
Yeah, they're all different.
And you got to be certified for them.
You have to be certified for each carrier.
Otherwise, you can't sell them.
Nope.
Yeah.
Got to do the federal certification, the carriers, and yeah.
Wow.
They're great plans, though, and there truly is a plan for everybody. And there's zero premium plans, there's Cadillac plans, there's so many options.
So we have a little time for a success story, and I'm putting you on the spot. But can you share with our listeners a success story that you had recently, given the current environment, how you really came through?
Yeah, they're all success stories. But, I just met with a gentleman yesterday whose wife has just suddenly lost her position at work. And it's a hardship, right? Because COBRA for their family of four is $2,400 a month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a lot.
a lot. Yeah.
That's a lot. And so fortunately, he is at an age where he could do Medicare. And so set him up with a supplement plan, and it saves him $1,000 a month off of that COBRA.
Oh, that's great.
And that's a win.
That's a
It
good
was
one.
an unplanned event, good or bad. I think the jury's still out on that, but it was one of those moments. It was like, we
What are we
weren't-
gonna do?
Yeah,
That's
they
right.
weren't there yet. They weren't ready to retire. They weren't, so.
And I can imagine, I think when you get to that spot where Medicare is available, you get a mailbox full of stuff. Right?
Yes.
And kind of trying to weave through how to make that have the most impact without paying through the nose or grabbing stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
And
And it all
Awesome.
looks so official when you get it too. It looks
Right.
pressing and urgent and
Yeah.
fancy, and there's a lot that
And
comes in.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It muddies the water for sure.
Yeah.
Well, anything else you have for our listeners? How do they get a hold of you?
Yes.
With the open enrollment, or if you own a business and you want to keep and retain employees, how do our listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, you can ring me at my office line. It's 425-616-2867.
She's here in the studio, so give her a second before you call. Or what's the
Hey, the ringer's off.
What's
Yeah.
the email?
You can email me at angel@Troth and Company. It's ANGEL at TROTHANDCO.com.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for coming in again today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really timely. I appreciate it. After the break, we're going to be talking with Aya Mears with Kango, Kuma, and Associates, who will be discussing the relationship between architecture and real estate. Join us right after this break.